your screen. Thank you, and with no further ado, here is Jamie Bergen on the EdgeSeries Reel.
Hello all. Again, this is Jamie Bergen. We're going to talk about the exciting product that we have launched at the golf show this year, and it is the EdgeSeries Reels. Just in terms of a little background, we have been working and continue to work on identifying improvements as part of a continuous improvement program. And in this case, we specifically were focused on how we could produce kind of that next generation of performance relative to the cutting system. And so we've spent a fair amount of time and energy resource-wise looking at a number of different characteristics that affect the cutting, and that includes after-cut appearance, quality of cut, edge retention, a number of factors that all contribute ultimately to the performance of the cutting units. Now, I would say that what we have, or what we've done in terms of process-wise, is as we've evaluated all these different characteristics, we try to isolate and look at them individually so that we can determine, as we, for example, look at material A versus material B, which one ultimately provides the benefits that we're looking for. And we take all of those individual tests, if you will, and combine them. And the interesting thing here is, as we combined all these different variables, and we'll talk about those in just a minute, we ended up seeing benefits that exceeded the sum of all the individual pieces. Again, and it was kind of an interesting curiosity as we brought all these together. So as we get moving now, we'll start talking about some of the different characteristics that were identified and some of the benefits that we're seeing because of that. Again, as Corinne had mentioned, if there's any questions or anything that comes up, by all means, feel free to type them in the chat box, and we'll try to respond as we go, or at the end, if there's some additional questions, we can certainly follow up there. So the first thing, if you think of it, there's really three main areas of change that are incorporated into the new EdgeSeries Reels. The first one is the material change. We've actually gone to a completely different material than we utilized in the past. I would say that it is really a material that has a much better wear resistance than the previous material that we were using. It's easy to say that it's harder, but it's technically actually not significantly harder, but it is much more wear resistant. And that's really a function of the microstructure, the makeup of the material itself. And so what we found is that this material has much better wear resistance, which ultimately maintains that edge better. And maintaining that edge means you get a much crisper cut, and frankly, there's less maintenance involved. So again, one of the key areas, change of material. If we look at the next area of change, we have a number of geometry changes that are incorporated. And these break down into really kind of three different areas with benefits that come from each of these changes. We changed the helix or the twist of the blade, and what that does is it actually allows a much straighter throw of the grass clippings into the basket. So what we find is that we get a much better basket fill across the width of the basket, as opposed to the clippings congregating on the left side of the basket, which would be a traditional activity as you mow. So again, that helix twist has really helped with the clipping collection. The next thing that we've seen or change that we've made is back to on the blade rake. We've changed the forward rake of the blade, and where you see this probably most pronounced is on the fairway units, which had a radial design. or a backward swept design on older radial units or older cutting units. The new fairway units and the green units now all incorporate a forward rake. Again, what we find is that it gives a cleaner, crisper cut, and in addition to the geometry or the helix twist, really provides better grass accumulation prior to the cut, which again provides a nice, cleaner, crisper cut. The next thing that we've changed was the top grind angle on the bed knife. So what we did there, and again, you're going to see most of that change relative to the fairway units where we're recommending a 10-degree top grind angle. What we see then with the change in the forward swept design of the blades for the reel and the 10-degree top grind on the bed knife is that interaction area between the reel and the bed knife is much smaller. We still maintain the same type of light contact that we've always recommended, but the physical interaction between the reel and the bed knife is a much smaller cross-section area, so it actually is producing less wear. And again, less wear means that the edge will maintain a sharper for a longer period of time. Now, a couple things to make sure we understand and are clear. One of the things that we found when we were looking at different grinding machines, and it doesn't matter whose grinding machine it is, whether it's Foley, Bernard, or whoever, we found that as we were grinding and testing that virtually none of the grinding machines actually produces the top grind angle that's stated on the grinding machine gauge. In other words, if you set your grinding machine to produce a 10-degree top grind angle on your bed knife, what we found was that there was a variation, a fairly significant variation, up to 4-degree difference on the test that we had done. So what we've done is we've actually produced a tool that is available to you to basically make sure that the grind angle on the bed knife is within the recommended specification. So there's two parts to this tool. There's a digital angle reader, and then there's also a specific bracket, custom bracket that will fit on the front of the bed knife. Those part numbers were on the last DOB that went out, so you should be able to find those on the DOB that Corinne sent out with the marketing materials for the EdgeSeries. And again, it's important that the specification that we identify for that top grind angle is maintained. It makes a significant difference in terms of the performance of the reel and the bed knife. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Another thing I'll talk about the reels, the different reel options we have as we get towards the end. So again, we've talked now about material change. We've also talked about geometry change. The last area that we really modified or changed was the manufacturing process. What we found was that there was a fair amount of variation from reel to reel. And so we wanted to minimize that variation. So there's been a number of changes that have been incorporated into our manufacturing process that ultimately are producing a much more consistent reel. What that really means is that out of the box, the reel to bed knife setup is frankly much easier because you get much more consistent reel to bed knife contact across the width of the blade. And again, we find that ultimately it's just much easier to maintain and set up out of the box. So again, 3 changes that we've made: a different material, different geometry changes, and a different change to our manufacturing process so that the reels are much more consistent. Okay? So those are kind of the key characteristics. All of those combine to ultimately produce a much longer wearing edge. And we have seen performance improvements of 30+% in terms of the edge retention, which means ultimately the end user doesn't have to backlap or grind nearly as often with these new reels as they did with the older ones. If you look now at the screen, you'll see these are the new cutting units. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. The new EdgeSeries cutting units will work in any of the, or the new EdgeSeries Reels, excuse me, will fit into the cutting units that utilize low drag seal and bearing packages. So what that means for greens products is starting in 2012, the DPA cutting units included the low drag seal and bearing package on the greens. For the fairways, that means that starting in 2016, all of the fairway units will incorporate the low drag seal and bearing package into the DPA cutting units, with the exception of the Reel Master 3100, 6700, and 7000. The 3100 and the 7000 will incorporate the low drag seal and bearing package for 2017. So in terms of compatibility, again, the new EdgeSeries product will fit into cutting units that utilize the low drag seal and bearing package. Just keep that in mind, okay? So then the last thing that is going to come up is, okay, so if you have customers with old DPA cutting units, there are service reels available that will fit into those older cutting units that do not include low drag seal and bearing packages. These units will, or these replacement reels will include the new material, but they may or may not include all of the geometry changes. So they'll see benefits from a wear perspective, but again, it may or may not include all of the geometry changes that we talked about with the new EdgeSeries. Now, a couple things to keep in mind on the fairway side. Again, we've gone or are recommending the forward swept design, but what we also found was with the forward swept design, if you hit an object, because of the angle of the blade, it will tend to push out and make the diameter of that blade larger, which means that there's more damage and or maintenance required to get that reel back into operating conditions. So what we recommend and will continue to produce are some reels with the radial design, because if they hit an object, they tend to decrease the diameter. So it's a little easier to maintain and a little less potential for any kind of damage. So at the end of the day, if you have customers that are mowing roughs and there's a lot of obstacles in those roughs, i.e. tree roots or rocks or obstacles that they might hit that could cause damage to that reel, we would recommend that they probably use a radial design. Again, that radial design will incorporate the new material, so they'll get the benefits of that increased wearability, but it won't necessarily get all of the benefits of the geometry changes. Obviously for fairways, etc., where you're less likely to run into obstacles, we would recommend the forward swept design. The other thing to keep in mind is that we've tested these reels in many different conditions on a regional basis. So we've tested in warm season grasses, we've tested in cool season grasses. We've seen and the most obvious benefits tend to come with warm season grasses, and that's primarily because of the silica content in the typical Bermuda style grasses, the zoysias and paspalums, etc. So again, where they would be typically having to backlap or grind fairly frequently and or reset the reel to bed knife, what we're finding is that there is a significant improvement in terms of that edge retention, which means a significant decrease in the amount of maintenance required. You'll still see benefits, again, in cool season grasses. It's just, it will take longer for that to show itself just because the cool season grasses don't have the same kind of abrasion or silica content as the warm season grasses. So, what we have here is, again, the fairway service reels, and then there's also the greens service reels that are available. And again, you can see the models that are available to go into. So, any questions on our Edge series?
The conference has been unmuted.
Comments, anybody? Questions?
You can speak up a question, or you can type a question in the chat window on the left-hand side of your screen.
Excuse me, it's Anders here. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Anders.
Hello. I have a question about the top angle on the bed knives. Is the 10 degrees only on the fairway bed knives, or is it that recommendation for the greens bed knives as well?
Okay, yes, let me respond to that. So Anders' question was, is the 10-degree top grind angle on the bed knife only for fairways, or does it include greens also? What I'll tell you right now, Anders, is that the 10-degree top grind angle is for the fairway units. Right now, we still have 3 or 7-degree recommended top grind angle on the greens unit until we make a change in the design of the scallop, which we're working on right now. What we find is if you try to put a 10-degree top grind angle on the greens unit today, the abrasive wheel will end up gouging in or removing material in that scallop area on the bed knife. So until we get those new bed knives out and available, we will still recommend a 3 to 7-degree top grind angle on the greens mowers. Ultimately,
okay.
we're planning on that changing, but again, because of some of the interference issues with that current scallop design, I can't recommend that until we make that change, okay?
Yep, okay.
Good. Any other questions?
I have one more question about the helix grind. So what I understand, the twist is there's less twist on the new reel compared to the old reels.
Yes, that is correct. On most of them, I will tell you that the helix design or the helix is similar to our 14-blade greens mower reels that existed previously, but it's different helix than was on our 8 and 11-blade greens reels. So it's similar to a couple of the designs we had, but now we're making it consistent across the line.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, Corinne's going to talk about some of the marketing materials activities, and then if there's more questions at the end, anything that comes up, we can address it at the end, okay?
The conference has been muted.
Thank you, Jamie. We're on the marketing side, we have a lot of exciting material that we have created working directly with Jamie. One thing I'd like to show is a short video. There are 4 videos that we've done. This is a short one to give you a taste of what is the key messaging we're focusing on for the Edge series.
This raises the standard for precision cutting in the golf course industry.
Healthier turf.
reduce maintenance,
continuous improvement,
reputation, making the best better.
So you can see we focused the message essentially on some of the improvements Jamie mentioned. We are definitely zooming in on the fact that this reel is here to continue and keeping Toro as the leader in cutting and aftercut appearance from a golf course perspective. And it's also a message about the edge retention. We are conservatively saying in our messaging that we have a 30% improvement on the edge retention. And that's significant from what Jamie was mentioning. Whereas, in fact, I believe when they did the actual testing, sometimes it kind of varied up to 50% on occasion. So by saying 30%, we're very comfortable with that statement. The videos that we've done, you can see, are a mix of what I would call teaser video, where we did include a customer testimonial that we had at the time. We actually flew into Kansas City to do an interview at Mission Hill. So you will see in some of those videos a gentleman there, the product maintenance manager, that speaks very highly of the improvement he has seen in his abrasive grasses that they run at Mission Hill, and specifically speaking of that edge retention. They were really impressed. They were also very impressed with the clean cut that they obtained with the EdgeSeries Reel. The other portion of the videos that we have is obviously interviews with our local experts here. Jamie is being interviewed. Tom Langworthy in our engineering department is also being interviewed in those videos and gives their perspective from a technical aspect on the EdgeSeries Reel. You must have received a DOB that Jamie mentioned earlier. On February 5th, Donna Go from our international department sent out the announcement that contained a DOB written by Jamie that contained more of the technical aspect. And you also accompanied in that email message from Donna, we had an interactive PDF document that you see now here on the screen. And that document was meant to give you a guideline of the available marketing materials and upcoming activities that we are doing to promote the EdgeSeries. So on this document, once again, it's an interactive document. So when you go back to the email from Donna and you open this document, you can click on the icons, each one of the little photos that you see, for example, under photography. And if you click on that link, it will bring you to the Dropbox folder where all the source material is located. So we have made available some studio shots for you, some location shots. We also have worked with Jamie on creating a sell sheet that is a two-page piece that can be used at trade shows that contain a lot of the technical aspects, with also a zooming in on the marketing messages. We also have the videos that I mentioned. We have some ad templates that you can reuse to post and to reuse in a print format or a digital format. And the 4 videos that we have created are of different lengths. So you have the ability to choose either anywhere from a 30-second video all the way to a 4 or 5-minute video that includes all the technical aspect. And we did shoot at our Shakopee facility here where we actually make those reels. So there's some really nice footage there. From a training perspective, we are informing people through this webcast. We've also conducted other training. We have an upcoming training in the UK where Jamie will also be continuing the education on the EdgeSeries Reel. We also have a press release that is available to you to promote in your local, through your local media. That press release is essentially a recap of, once again, the technical aspects and some interviews of our local experts here. From a Toro.com perspective, you will see updated information on our Toro.com website and the in-language websites that we have. And we are planning some digital advertising campaigns through Google on our side, and also the creation of what we call a landing page, which is essentially an area on the web where we focus and give all the information we have, including the ability to download sales sheets or access videos through a one landing page. So those are some of the activities that have gone on. There's been different shows going on. Obviously, the big one was the USA GIS show where the official launch occurred. But we know you have local events, and don't hesitate to call on us if you have any questions or need for anything to help you promote the reels with your sales team during trade shows, at a booth, etc. We're here to help. With that said, I hope that you found the content of this webcast short and sweet, to the point, and giving you access to the information in a straightforward manner as we could. I will reopen the line in a minute for questions. I already see a question from Bruno here that he put in the chat box. And the question reads, this EdgeSeries area is similar harness or better than the Baroness reel? So I will let Jamie answer that question.
Yeah, Bruno.
The conference has been unmuted.
Let me kind of state it this way. As we were going through the development process, in addition to determining how well this new material, geometry, etc., performed relative to our old reels, we also benchmarked against all of the competitive reels, whether that's the green or the orange from Deere and Jacobson. We also looked at Shibuya and Baroness, and then also some Wilfit suppliers from Asia. So what I will tell you is that the hardness is really not the issue that you want to kind of focus on. As I mentioned before, it's not that this is slightly harder from a Rockwell standpoint, but it's only ever so slightly harder. But what it really is a much more wear resistant. Baroness achieves their wear resistance by tempering their steel in a way that makes it very hard, but in doing so, it also makes it very brittle. So, for example, when we develop any of these products, whether it's our reel products or rotary products, we always do stake tests. I think many of you have probably seen videos before where we jam a stake up into the reel or the blade, and it has to pass that test in terms of durability and robustness. I can tell you that the Baroness reel would not pass our test because, again, they achieve their toughness by the temper, which makes it very brittle. What I can tell you, though, also, Bruno, is that in side-by-side comparisons, our EdgeSeries performs better than any of the test reels that we had looked at. So it's been a pretty exciting, pretty positive direction for us. The last thing I'll mention is that the EdgeSeries represents the accumulated knowledge to this point in time, but it's not where we're stopping. So we're continuing the process of looking for even better and different materials that can perform at even a higher level. But we have to say that we've, I think, done a pretty good job with where we're at. So does that help, Bruno?
We have another question, Jamie, from Jerome in regards to is the gateway system and also OMS and the TIS forecasting system, when is that updated with the new reel?
The TIF, again, if you're talking about a whole goods, Jerome, any forecast you're putting in right now for F16 products includes the new reels. So again, if you recorded. So basically, the question is gateway and OMS include the new. The answer is for any new whole good that you're forecasting, it includes. We talked about. And it includes virtually all the units, with the exception of the Reel Master 3700, 6700, and 7000.
Sorry, there is a big loud behind, like a big echo, and I understand.
We couldn't hear you, Jerome. So if you can type your question, that might be better. I'm getting a lot of people on the line. I'm going to mute people.
The conference has been muted.
I'm getting a lot of.
Yeah. So, Jerome, does that answer your question? If you could type a response in chat, that would be great.
In the meantime, what I wanted to also mention in the marketing communication aspect is that all the languages that you see on the document that you see on the slide here, all the languages in which the material will be available. So for this particular product, we have things translated in Japanese, in German, in Spanish, French, Dutch, Portuguese, Italian, Swedish, Chinese, and Korean. So all that all those languages will be available.
Okay, yes, Carlos, I see your message, and yes, we muted. Hopefully, if you could not hear my response to Jerome's original question, please let me know, and I can repeat it.
We can't, Jamie and I have discussed this product many times, and we are very excited from a product leadership perspective, from a quality of cut perspective, from the edge retention perspective. So we really, really want to make sure that we do proper promotion locally in the market with the material we've created, so that our customers can be as excited as we are with these new reels. So all your efforts are certainly appreciated in that matter.
Yeah, let me, Carlos, thanks for the response. Let me just repeat the salient points from Jerome's question. Jerome asked is basically, are the new cutting units, et cetera, in OMS and TIFF? And my response is, for any 2016 product, whole good, that you're ordering, it includes the EdgeSeries Reels. The only exception is on the fairway side, the Reel Master 3100, 6700, and 7000 do not include the new materials. But everything else on the fairway side and on the green side includes the new materials. Okay, any other questions anybody has?
As a conclusion point, I wanted to let you know that if you enjoy and you find the webcast we're doing good, please tell people in your office, make sure they get and sign up for the email so that we can continue educating our distributor staff, our own sales staff through those webcasts. So we appreciate your effort in letting others know.
Okay, Jerome, I see. I will check and see, looking for the part number of the 5-inch unit for the 5010H. Okay, so Jerome is saying that it looks like the part number, the new part number is not, it's showing that it's obsolete, but the new material is not in. So I will check on that and see what's going on there, Jerome. questions. Are you going to dispatch the older references too? I'm not quite sure what that means. If you're asking about the or the older DPA units that do not include the low drag seal and bearing package, those are the service reels. The last two slides on my presentation, slides 6 and 7, are the replacements for the older DPA cutting units that include the new EdgeSeries materials. I'm thinking that's what you're asking, Hernando. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay.
Anything else?
Don't hesitate if you have questions popping up in the next few hours or next few days, please don't hesitate to send me an email, karenwatney@tor.com, or Jamie an email, jamie.burgeon@tor.com. We're happy to answer any questions that come up in the future on that topic.
Okay. With that, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. We recorded this session. We will make the recording available very shortly. Please recommend this recording to anyone in your office you think would benefit from this information, and we look forward to having you on future webcasts. The next webcast we have coming up is for the Reel Master 3555 and 3575 with Steve Peterson in the next few weeks. Thank you, everyone.